In the small town of Ravenhill, Pennsylvania, life had once been simple and bright. But over the years, factories closed, jobs vanished, and poverty crept into every street. Shops were shuttered, houses fell into disrepair, and people stopped smiling. For many, the days felt heavy, hopeless, like living in darkness. In this struggling town lived Lily Anderson, a 17-year-old high school senior. Unlike most, Lily carried an unusual spirit. She wasn't blind to the pain around her, but she believed, even in the darkest place, a single light could matter. Her father worked double shifts at a diner. Her mother volunteered at the church food pantry. Watching them give, even when they had so little, planted a deep conviction in Lily's heart. Hope is something you share, not something you keep. One cold November evening, Lily was walking home after tutoring younger kids at the library. The streetlights flickered dimly, and the town square was nearly empty. Then she noticed a man sitting by the fountain, wrapped in a thin coat, shivering. He looked worn down, older than his years. Beside him sat a broken suitcase. "Are you okay, sir?" Lily asked softly. The man looked up with tired eyes. "Just passing through. Lost my job, lost everything." Something inside Lily stirred. Most people in Ravenhill walked past strangers like this. They barely had enough for themselves. But Lily remembered her mother's words, "You can't fix the whole world, but you can warm one heart." She reached into her bag, pulling out a sandwich she had saved for later. "Here, please take this." The man blinked, surprised. Slowly, he accepted it. "Thank you, you're the first person who's spoken to me all week." The next day, Lily returned with a thermos of soup. Over time, she learned his name was Jack Bennett. He had once worked as a mechanic in Ohio, but after the auto shop closed, he drifted from town to town, unable to find steady work. Lily listened, not judging, only offering presence. And as she listened, Jack's shoulders seemed a little less heavy. One evening, Lily told her parents about Jack. Her father sighed. "Sweetheart, we don't have much ourselves." "I know," Lily said, "but we have enough to share." Her mother smiled gently. "A candle doesn't lose its light by lighting another." Together, they invited Jack to dinner. It wasn't fancy, just soup and bread, but Jack wept quietly as he ate. "You make me feel human again," he whispered. Word spread through Ravenhill. At first, neighbors frowned. Why waste food on a stranger? But Lily's courage began to stir something. Her classmates started collecting spare clothes. The church offered Jack odd jobs. Even the local grocery store donated leftovers once a week. Soon, Jack wasn't the only one helped. Other struggling families began to benefit from this small chain of kindness. What started with one sandwich was growing into a movement. One snowy night, as Lily and Jack walked back from the church, the power went out across Ravenhill. Darkness swallowed the streets. Jack laughed softly, pulling a small candle from his pocket, the one Lily had given him when they first met. He lit it. The tiny flame flickered, glowing against the cold night. "See?" Jack said. "It doesn't end the darkness, but it pushes it back. Just like you did for me." Lily smiled. "Then let's keep lighting candles." The blackout lasted for hours that night. Families huddled in cold homes, children grew restless, and fear filled the air. But in the middle of the square, Jack and Lily's candle glowed. Soon neighbors came out of their houses, carrying their own candles and lanterns. Someone whispered, "If they can light one, so can we." Within minutes, Ravenhill Square was alive with tiny flames, a circle of warmth and light. People who hadn't spoken in years stood side by side, holding candles, sharing stories, and laughing together. The darkness no longer felt frightening, it felt like unity. The next morning, Lily had an idea. What if we make this permanent? Not just candles, but a way for everyone to help each other. She and Jack began organizing weekly gatherings at the church basement. Families donated what they could: clothes, canned food, even time. Jack repaired broken chairs and bicycles, using his old mechanic skills. Teenagers offered free tutoring for younger kids. It wasn't much, but slowly, Ravenhill felt alive again. With steady work at the church and odd jobs from grateful neighbors, Jack saved enough to rent a small room. He shaved, bought new clothes, and began walking straighter. People who once avoided him now greeted him with respect. One evening, he told Lily, "You gave me more than food. You gave me back my dignity." Lily shook her head. "No, Jack. You lit your own flame. I just passed you the match." Not everyone welcomed the change. Some in town muttered, "Helping one man won't fix Ravenhill." Or, "Why waste time when nothing will ever get better?" But Lily stood firm. One candle doesn't end the night, but it shows a path forward. Her words silenced critics, because people could already see the difference. The streets looked cleaner, families smiled more, and hope quietly returned. Months later, Lily submitted an essay for a statewide competition called Voices of Tomorrow. Her topic: A Candle in the Dark, How Small Acts of Kindness Can Change a Community. She wrote about Jack, about Ravenhill, about how a sandwich and a simple flame turned despair into unity. Weeks later, she won first place. The prize money went directly into creating the Ravenhill Hope Center, a small building where people in need could find food, clothing, and support. At the center's opening, townspeople gathered. The mayor, once skeptical, praised Lily's vision. Reporters asked questions, cameras flashed, but Lily only pointed to Jack. "This is not just my story," she said. "This is Jack's story. And it's Ravenhill's story. Because humanity is a chain reaction. The more we share, the brighter the world becomes." Jack, tears in his eyes, whispered to her, "You saved me, kid. And now, look, you saved the whole town." 5 years later, Ravenhill was no longer known for its decay, but for its resilience. The Hope Center had expanded, offering job training and after-school programs. The once empty square was filled with life, markets, music, and laughter. Lily went on to college, but every holiday she returned home, volunteering at the center. Jack became its caretaker, always carrying a small candle in his pocket as a reminder. One winter evening, at the town's annual candlelight gathering, Lily stood on the same square where it all began. Thousands of candles flickered across Ravenhill, pushing back the night. She looked at Jack, who stood proudly among them, and whispered to herself, "It started with one candle in the dark." A candle in the dark teaches us that no act of kindness is ever too small. Even a single gesture, like sharing food, offering warmth, or simply listening, can ignite hope in another person's heart. And when hope spreads, it has the power to transform entire communities. Because in the end, darkness is not defeated by force, it is defeated by light. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more interesting emotional and motivational moral stories.